Okay, it's time for What in the World Happened Last Night? Primary Election Edition. So, was driving home from work last night. This is about 8 o'clock or so, and talk radio in Greensboro. Local, state talk radio in Greensboro really stinks. It's 94.5 was airing their regular schedule, which is Dave Ramsey. I like Dave Ramsey, but when you're trying to get primary elections on your 15-20 minute commute home from work, you want the information right away. I was very surprised they were not airing a simulcast, sort of like what the KCO Day show does. They aired on WPTF out of Raleigh and WPTI out of Greensboro. But the election coverage was just out of Raleigh on WPTF. Now, when I got home, I was able to stream it via the internet, thankfully. But, as was the case 2 years ago, nothing on 94.5 here in Greensboro for election coverage. Anyhow, let me pull this up here. Okay, so what on earth happened last night? Well, U.S. Senate race. This one, I think everybody knew Ted Budd was going to win. But the margin, wow. This was an absolute bloodbath of Pat McCrory. I mean, Ted Budd won by 59% to 25%. A lovely 25% for Pat McCrory. Mark Walker could not even get 10% of the vote. Marjorie Eastman, 3% of the vote, but better days ahead. And then everybody else was like less than a percent. We had David Flaherty at 0.95, and then it just drops from there. But when you look at the map, Ted Budd won 99 counties. The only one he didn't win was Pat McCrory, was Mecklenburg County. Pat McCrory won that, of course, because he used to be mayor of Charlotte. And he only won his home county by 60 votes. That's it, 60 votes. So looking now at the congressional primaries here. District 1, Sandy Smith won that 31% of the vote versus Sandy Robertson, 27% of the vote. I thought Sandy Robertson was a better candidate. Current mayor of Rocky Mount, running for Congress. But that one, up until about 6 years ago, the threshold for avoiding a runoff in order to win a primary election, you had to win at least 40% of the vote. And even before that, I don't know, it used to be 50. I don't know when they changed it 50 to 40, but 40 to 30 they changed it for the 2016 election. But now you just need 30% of the vote, and that's hogwash. District 3, Greg Murphy did better than I thought he would. He won 76% of the vote. Really liked hearing from Eric Earhart. I went to the Jones County Republican Convention down east. But the closest other competitor was Tony Cowden with 14% of the vote, and Eric Earhart did not even get 5% of the vote. And Greg Murphy won every single county in the district, including Onslow County. There was some discussion about Greg Murphy struggling a bit in Onslow County because there was a censure of him that was some people in the Onslow County Republican Party were trying to process it, but it got blocked by the chair down there. So there's this whole fight going on, and we might we might actually see something like that play out at the state convention in a couple days, so we'll see. Let's see. I'm going to skip District 6 for a little bit. Talk about District 11. Madison Cawthorn got defeated. Only lost this seat by about 1,300 votes. Chuck Edwards won this seat with 33.4% of the vote. Again, he was over that lowly 30% threshold. This one, I personally think Madison Cawthorn, politically speaking, he did good, but there are a lot of issues in his personal life that unfortunately boiled up to the surface, and that's what did him in. The candidate I liked the best in this race was Michelle Woodhouse, her first time running for Congress, but she, in a 8-person field, placed number 6 with only 5.3% of the vote. But I think better days are ahead for Michelle Woodhouse, in that the former chair of the 11th Congressional District Republican Party, District 13, Bo Hines, that was the Trump-endorsed candidate. Bo Hines, I think only like 26, 27 years old, won that seat. However, it should be noted, Devon Barber, a man who I know personally, finished a respectable second. Definitely a bright future for him. He actually won Johnston County, his home county, 37 to 30. But Bo Hines was able to win Wayne County, Harnett County, and Wake County, 3 of the 4 counties in that district, to make the difference in that race. District 6. This one was the upset of the night. I was listening to WPTF last night, and they never talked about District 6. It was always, what's happening in District 11 and 13? 11 and 13. All we heard all night was 11 and 13. This morning, listening to Henry Hinton talk of the town out of Greenville. Never talked about District 6. It was always 11 and 13. And also because that show covers Eastern North Carolina, District 1, but never talked about District 6. And that's kind of unusual, because this district, it was about a D plus 10, but then it got redistricted into only about a D plus 5. So this is a district that this year, it is not out of the question that the Republicans can actually pick up a seat in District 6. But what happened last night is that Lee Haywood, the person I voted for, the person who ran 2 years ago against Kathy Manning, lost by only a little over 1,000 votes to Christian Castelli. Yeah, had never heard of Christian Castelli before this primary, but he won the race. Green Beret, he has a lot of money, and that probably made the difference. Almost every day I would get mailers from Christian Castelli delivered to my home. That probably also made the difference. He also ran ads on TV. Lee Haywood did not have an ad on TV. But with only 36.2% of the vote, Christian Castelli is the Republican nominee for District number 6. So, money versus grassroots / name recognition. This race in District 6 was one where money clearly made the difference for Christian Castelli. But look, I was a big Lee Haywood supporter. However, I will definitely support and vote for Christian Castelli, and we'll see. Hopefully we can get Kathy Manning defeated in this election cycle. Now take a look at the state judicial races. For the Supreme Court, seat number 5, Trey Allen won this race by I thought this was going to be a lot closer of a race, but he won the race with 55% of the vote to 36% of the vote for April Wood. Victoria Prince had 8% of the vote, which is about where I saw Victoria Prince at. It was about no more than 10% because she never campaigned, didn't have a website, no information about her besides that apparently she's a lawyer from Greensboro. When you look at the statewide results, Trey Allen won most of the counties, but as expected, April Wood did very well in Davison, Davie County, Carteret County on the coast, the Elizabeth City area, Stokes County, Alexander County, Polk, well, barely in Polk. That's some other. Lee County was probably her best county, though. She actually did well. Lee County was 63% of the vote. Davison County was 65% of the vote. But Trey Allen is a guy who I endorsed, and he won. Donna Stroud won her race as well on the Court of Appeals. I endorsed her. She won. This one was 59-40. Beth Freshwater Smith, it's interesting to look at the counties she won. She won all the counties around the Wilson, Rocky Mount area, also Johnston County, Edgecombe County. She won all 5 counties that were along the North Carolina-South Carolina border, at least from Robinson to Union County along the U.S. Highway 74 corridor, and she also eked out a win in New Hanover County by just about a little over 100 votes, but did very well in Moore County, Stanley County, and Cabarrus County. And the other statewide judicial seat was also Court of Appeals seat number 11. Michael Stating won. This one was not close at all. 71% to only 29% for Charlton Allen. Stating won every single county across the state. He advertised on TV. He attended all the conventions I went to, county and district. He was everywhere. Carlton Allen just campaigned on Facebook, and his whole campaign was that apparently Stating is not a real Republican. He changed party affiliation 4 times in 8 years or something like that. But I actually found that to be not true. Stating was a Democrat up until 2008, and then he changed to Republican. He's been a Republican ever since. Okay. And the local races here in Guilford County, bring that up here. Okay. County Commissioner at Large for the Republicans, Jerry Allen Branson, cruises to victory with 70% of the vote. Alvin Robinson, who I voted for and endorsed, lost. And then in the District 3 race, this one played out as I thought. Pat Tillman and George McClellan ran very close, and then you had Dan Souter, a distant third. Pat Tillman pulls this out with 41% of the vote versus McClellan's 34%. Let's see. Sheriff's race. This one, I thought there was going to be a runoff, but Phil Byrd pulls us out with 40% of the vote for the Republicans. It's interesting to note on the Democrat side, the incumbent sheriff, Danny Rogers, only got 58% of the vote for that one. Mayor's race. The top 2 will go on into the election on July 26th, right in the middle of the summer. Turnout in Greensboro was about 20%. I mean, if you think turnout was low on May 17th, July 26th has another thing coming. It's probably might not even hit 10% on a race in the middle of the summer. But Nancy Vaughn, the incumbent, was a top vote getter. However, she only got 45% of the vote. It's never good for an incumbent to get less than 50%. Justin Outling was second, 35% of the vote. Him and Vaughn will go on to the general election on July 26th. It's interesting, though, Eric Robert, who I voted for, he finished fourth out of fourth place and could not even beat the tainted candidate, the guy Mark Cummins, who resigned because of some ethical violations as a district court judge. But Eric Robert finished fourth out of four. I don't know, maybe that was his accent, was hard to understand or something, but just a little surprised that Eric Robert didn't do a little bit better. I didn't think he would be a top two, but I thought for sure that he'd be better than Mark Cummins, but he was not. City Council at large. One of our two candidates is going on to the general election. That is Katie Rasabi. She finished number 5 out of 6. You had 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. You had 10 candidates running at large. The top 6 go on to July 26th. And that race, you can vote for up to 3. However, I'm just going to vote for 1 as Katie Rasabi. Melody Fentress, another one I voted for, she finished in 8th place and unfortunately will not go on to July 26th, but we do, of course, have one in Katie Rasabi. It's interesting that the top 2 vote getters are both incumbents, Yvonne Johnson and Marquet Abu Zoyater, however you pronounce that. Tracy Furman, a newcomer, edged out incumbent Hugh Holston by less than 200 votes. And Linda Wilson is number 6, bringing up the rear in the top 6. Sharon Hightower won her race, an incumbent. She will go on to the general, facing Felton Fushi, who Fushi was endorsed by the Rhino Times, where I get a lot of my information learn about politics and the conservative movement in Guilford County, and that source. District 2, Goldie Wells, an incumbent, got 43% of the vote. Cecilia Crawford, who I'm not related to, finished second. Those two will go on. Latoya Gathers, endorsed by the Rhino, finished last. Will not go on. District 3, that was Justin Outland's old district. Zach Matheny, who was endorsed by the Rhino, finished very well. In first place with 61% of the vote. He'll go on to face Chip Roth in the July 26th race. And then we have my district, District 5. Tammy the Liberal Therm won, but she only won by 195 votes. She only got 45% of the vote. Tony Wilkins, the great conservative, who I voted for, he finished second. So him and Tammy Thurm will go on to the general election. And then you have the spoiler, Robert Bottenheimer, 763 votes, distant last place. But look, I think Tony Wilkins definitely has a good shot at this seat. I mean, he just needs 200 of Robert Bottenheimer's 763 voters, and he can win this race. And then the bond referendum, you have this one's interesting. Guilford County, voted against the quarter-cent sales tax for the funding of the schools. Voted against this by 10 points, 55-45. However, on the school bond referendum, Guilford County voted yes, 61-39. And let me read to you the. Let's see. I'm gonna read to you how the sales tax and the bond referendum was on the ballot. So maybe you'll get an idea of why one passed and one failed. Okay. Let me go here. Okay. On the ballot, it says Guilford County local sales and use tax. Local sales and use tax at the rate of 0.25%, 0.25%, in addition to all other state and local sales and use taxes. Are you for or against? Guilford County voted against. But then we have this Guilford County school bond referendum, and it states, it's a very lengthy question, by the way. Shall the order authorizing $1.7 billion of bonds secured by a pledge of the faith and credit of the County of Guilford to pay capital cost of providing school facilities, including the acquisition and construction of new school facilities, the improvement and expansion of existing school facilities, and the acquisition and installation of furnishings and equipment, and the acquisition of interest in real property required, therefore. And then we get to the most important part of this. And a tax to be levied for the payment thereof be approved. So I think the reason why the bond referendum actually passed was because people will just read $1.7 billion for bonds sounds great. But what they don't read is at the very bottom of this lengthy paragraph. It says, and a tax to be levied for the payment thereof be approved. $1.7 billion for schools. That sounds wonderful. Let me vote yes. But the line, the sentence that says, and a tax to be levied for the payment of, is at the very bottom. A tax should be, the bond should read, shall the order authorize $1.7 billion of bonds to pay for schools and a tax to be levied. That's it. You don't need anything else in that paragraph. Nothing else. Just say $1.7 billion for bonds for schools, and a tax is going to be levied to pay for that. You're going to have to pay more in taxes somehow. May not be sales tax, but guess what? Property tax are going to go up. And a lot of people may say, property tax. I don't own my home or pay property taxes. Well, now, guess what? What about your car? You pay property tax on that, don't you? That's probably going to go up. Rent? Guess what? Yeah. Landlord's got to pay his bills. One of his bills is property tax. Yeah, he's probably going to raise your rent. But people just say, $1.7 billion for schools. That's a great thing. Crazy. Anyway. Well, y'all, that's all I got to say about that. Y'all have a good day now. Bye-bye.